after more than 2 decades of silence, Ice Cube has finally spoken out against Diddy. Ice Cube recently testified about his experiences with Diddy, including watching Diddy groom kids. Not only that, but Kanye West has come up at Diddy's hearing to support him. A leaked call between Kanye and Diddy has gone public, and one of the jurors was just discharged after it was found that Diddy's lawyers were reportedly influencing him.
I've been shut out. You know, some platforms will not have me on.
Why?
They don't like that I'm, an independent thinker. I'm not part of the herd. I'm not part of the go along to get along gang, so to speak. So, I'm an outsider. And so, I'm not part of the club.
Almost 40 years rocking the mic.
You still killing it, goddamn.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, me and Dub C ain't never been to a Diddy party, motherfucker. Nah.
Thank God.
You ain't gotta worry about us on them motherfucking tapes. Now check this shit out.
You gotta sing me that part.
Week 4 of the Diddy trial has begun, and Ice Cube is supposedly testifying about what he saw in Diddy's mansion in 1994. Ice Cube worked with Diddy on his War and Peace album, and during production, Diddy called him to his home. Ice Cube noticed the same narcotics, firearms, and escorts that the FBI is now collecting as evidence. The walls of Diddy's home were lined with 1,000 bottles of baby oil, as well as lubricant, pills, and whips. Diddy would beat the women in his home in front of his guests. He expected Ice Cube to remain silent like everyone else and help him cover up his misdeeds, but Ice Cube separated himself and stepped away.
Diddy, you're hearing Diddy everywhere, okay?
Yeah.
So, did you ever have any kind of run-in with Diddy? Did you ever do anything with Diddy? Any projects you worked on with him?
Yeah, he's produced a few records, or had his producers do a few records on my War and Peace album, the Peace Disc. Yeah.
How was he to work with?
It was cool. He gave us great music. We flew out to New York, and I was mainly in the studio with the producer. He had a stable of producers, so I was in the studio with his stable of producers, and I think we did some great music. And I really, kind of, lost contact with him and really stopped, dealing with Puffy around 94.
Yeah. Any specific reason?
Yeah, they was doing their thing, I was doing mine. And, I'm not the partying type. You know what I mean? I ain't never been to a Diddy party. I ain't never really wanted to go. But I don't go to a lot of people parties. That just ain't what I'm in it for.
Ice Cube's evidence includes detailed reports, names, locations, and dates. Ice Cube informed the jury about what he observed in Diddy's terrible mansion, including how he abused women. Diddy wanted Ice Cube to remain silent and assist him cover up his misdeeds, just like everyone else in the business. Diddy's lawyers objected, claiming Cube's claims were biased and based on hearsay, but the judge overruled them, citing Cube's direct knowledge and under oath. The courtroom fell hushed as Cube showed the hidden chambers, surveillance footage, and threats used by Diddy and his cronies to organize the freakout. Cube went on to explain how prominent players in the music business attempted to silence him. They warned me, he remembered, told me I'd never work again, but I couldn't unsee what I saw. Even now, the leaders have blackballed Ice Cube.
And some of you may not have realized that I'm not part of the club. And a lot of you listening to me right here, right now, you're not part of the club either. And what I realized with the club is what makes them so mad is when you don't want to be a part of their fucking club. That pisses them off. What club am I talking about? I'm talking about the club of gatekeepers that we all got to deal with. You know who they are, and they definitely know who they are. A lot of people would be like, what? Who? Come on, man, stop playing. So, ever since I put out the contract with Black America, you know they've been fucking with me. Here and there, this and that. But it's cool, you know. I expect that.
Platform again.
What platforms have banned you?
I've been you know, I tried to go on The View. They didn't have me on The View.
Why?
Well, a few of the guests just really didn't like where I was coming from. So, or a few of the hosts, I mean. So that's what I was told by the producers. You know, I don't know if the producers was just copping out and using some of the hosts to not have me come on and explain myself, but
You'd be a good booking for them.
I've been on there before.
Yeah.
You know, it's just when I've became an independent thinker, when I've, you know, I'm not, you know, I don't follow their brand of politics, I guess.
But if you can't think for yourself, then you're not really free, are you?
No, you're not. You're not. But I've been excluded. I've been excluded on Oprah, you know.
On Oprah?
On Oprah, yeah, I've been excluded. Yeah, man.
I would think you'd be the person Oprah would want to promote. I mean, you grew up in South Central, you were successful at a young age, you have dignity, you say what you think. Like, I thought that
Diddy's present situation has been planned for quite some time. Diddy is not the ringleader, and when the elites at the top, the gatekeepers, decided Diddy was no longer valuable to them, they let him go. Hollywood is a terrible place that breeds only victims and abusers. Clive Davis turned Diddy into the monster he is today.
You got to take drugs. You're going through so much shit to try and deal with life. You are literally, it's an unhealthy space. And so eventually you're going to go too far, you know? Who knows what happened to Philip? Who knows what he had to do in order to get to where he was at? There's a lot of things that people do that end up sitting and they can't get over it. And they got to keep getting high, hoping to get it out of their head, you know? But when you lose your man card, that's the only thing I can think of. You lose your damn man card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
Now, I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back. You come into this world as a man one time. You give up that right for anything, for fear of being hurt, fear of somebody doing something, for wanting to gain something. When you give up that man card right, you lose some spiritual energy that has always been pushing through. Like if a woman gives up her womanly right of being a mother and taking care of her family and do all those things, when you give up those things, but when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Got punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there because they get fluid. And next thing you know, once you go fluid, it's gone. You don't have any foundation to pull yourself back.
As we peel back the layers of what Ice Cube revealed in court, we see that Hollywood is full of predators. That sexual abuse is common in the film industry, and that some of the biggest names, such as Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein, Roman Polanski, and now Diddy, were all sexual predators who exploited young men and forced them to commit degrading acts. These people are members of the gay mafia, which dominates Hollywood and the music business. Diddy's sex trafficking ring included record business executives and directors.
You've been the one, you've been to them all.
Are you surprised at what things are coming out with Diddy at all, or you like you have no idea? It's none of my business. You'll live long. Is that kind of like the mindset?
I mean, surprised. How could you be surprised with anything that happens in hip hop? You know, hip hop is the Wild West. So you're gonna have the good, you're gonna have the bad, you're gonna have the ugly.
You think he's being targeted, or some of the stuff he's got, you know, there's credibility on what they're coming after him with the tapes and the feds and raiding his Miami home, his LA home?
I believe he's being targeted.
You believe he's being targeted?
Yeah. I believe, you know, somebody, has the power to pull the trigger to make, this stuff, this domino effect happen.
Okay. All right. So you think he's being targeted. So you don't think, Shook said, you can say what you want about Diddy, but Diddy didn't learn to like young boys. He learned it from a man named Clive Davis. He threw Clive Davis in there. It doesn't sound like you're part of that camp. You're part of the camp that you think he's being targeted.
I don't know enough to even be able to be specific on any of this stuff. It's just all speculation. I just know he was cool up until a point, and then this stuff started happening. So I believe somebody, like I said, yo, he's our new guy. We on this year or whatever.
Diddy is allegedly trying to manipulate the situation. Even today, juror number 6 was discharged by the judge after it was found that he had lied. Diddy's lawyers battled to keep this juror in the case, saying that he was critical to the trial. How did Diddy get someone like juror number 6 into the group in the first place? That is the question that has everyone in the courtroom and the general public on edge. According to sources close to the case, Juror 6 had secret ties to Bad Boy Records via a distant familial connection, which he neglected to reveal during jury selection.
Diddy Juror 6 gave multiple inconsistent statements. The judge was going over his issues with juror number 6, and although he did not make a final determination, his thoughts on juror number 6 being removed were pretty clear. He stated that in the initial process, juror number 6 said that he lived in the Bronx with his fiance and his daughter. Then he turned around a while later and said that he moved to New Jersey with his girlfriend, and also said that his daughter lived in New Jersey. But then it changed again and said that his daughter lived in the Bronx with his aunt. And he referenced that this was only a couple of the inconsistent statements, that there were more. The judge then stated that he wants this juror off the jury because there is no reason why this man would have to lie, and the only reason he would lie is to be a part of the Diddy trial, which made him worry that this juror might have a malicious intent or an agenda. But then after the judge said that we need to strike this juror off of the jury, Diddy's team started bringing up more arguments about this. Diddy's lawyer said that this juror is important because they need diversity, and he is only one of 4 black men that sit on the jury. He also said that he doesn't believe that these inconsistencies were that big of a deal where this juror would have to be removed. Diddy's team was arguing that this is something that should have been brought up weeks ago, and nobody brought this up, and the government is saying, listen, I didn't even know about this back then. Then Diddy's lawyer said something really, really weird. They said, just bring this juror in, just question him. I'm sure it's nothing. I'm sure he'll be able to explain. But this is what the government wanted the judge to do earlier, and Diddy's lawyer said, no. That would be harassing the juror. Then the judge told everybody to get out of the courtroom, that they needed to have a sealed talk.
Diddy was best friends with Mayor Adams, and they both got revealed at the same time. Diddy's relationship with government leaders is why he was able to avoid arrest for so long. Even today, some of the industry's top figures continue to back him. Kanye West just got to the trial to offer his support. For Diddy,
Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, has made a surprise appearance at Sean Diddy Combs' criminal trial on Friday. He expressed support for his fellow rapper as he defends against sex trafficking charges.
Diddy's victims and the abuse he committed have wrecked hundreds of lives. Diddy molded and corrupted young artists, causing them to live in humiliation. This is apparently why Justin Bieber and Aaron Carter turned to drugs. They sought to block out those memories and get the abuse off their minds.
Big breaking news tonight, and for the first time in the history of New York City, a sitting mayor has been indicted for crimes. ABC News reporting that Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted by a federal grand jury. We do not know yet the exact charges. Federal authorities have been investigating Adams and members of his staff, issuing subpoenas for documents and cell phones. Several members of administration have resigned, some of them also friends of Mayor Adams. Again, Eric Adams, the 110th mayor of New York, has been indicted by a federal grand jury. We'll have the latest online and tonight on Eyewitness News at 11.
Diddy always been the type of individual that wanted to have ups on the next person no matter what they was doing. He did the stuff to Ja Rule so he could go after Jay-Z. They not gonna come out and speak on nothing that has anything to do with them, and they praying that they not on the tape doing crazy stuff, being oiled up in the whole 9 yards. Until the Fed say, hey, yo, listen here. Hey, buddy, we got you on this tape, and girl looked like she was pretty young.
Prosecutors revealed the medications Diddy was utilizing during this trial. Jurors were shown images from Diddy's hotel room, as well as $9,000 in cash, which Diddy reportedly meant to deliver to escorts. Even after the raid on Diddy's Miami estate, when authorities found over 1,000 bottles of baby oil, he continued to engage in freak-offs, MDMA, ecstasy, and cocaine, and guns were discovered at his hotel. The evidence of Diddy's involvement in the disappearance and trafficking of victims is clear.
So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. And the women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their Oscar, they have their money, but they don't have their dream. They don't have the soul that they started with. So it's like achieving don't mean anything. If I get all the Nobel Prizes from doing all of this, but in the process I have to trade out all of my integrity to do it so that they can stay in place, what benefit is that if I lose my integrity? You got to go in as a principal. And what we were brought in here as men. We produce 1,500 sperm per heartbeat for a reason, because the aggression is necessary. You don't trade that in, no matter what.
The trial revolves around a woman known only as Jane, Combs' former girlfriend, whose name has been kept hidden for her own safety. Her testimony has been nothing short of frightening, giving a raw emotional portrayal of life inside Diddy's heavily guarded business. Jane drew down the veil on a world that the public was never meant to view. She spoke about years of psychological manipulation, violent outbursts, and sexual coercion, including one instance that left the courtroom startled into quiet.
Cassie told the jury that Diddy forced her into drug-fueled sex acts with male escorts while he watched, sometimes sitting in the corner and masturbating. Through tears, she said she took drugs to numb herself, ecstasy, cocaine, and ketamine, all of it allegedly supplied by Diddy. She said the freak-offs included as many as 4 male escorts at once and typically lasted 36 to 72 hours. The longest, she said, the longest freak-off that she says she was forced to perform in lasted 4 days. She said they took place around the world, from New York to Miami to Spain to even Turks and Caicos. And at every stop, Cassie said the hotel rooms were stocked by Diddy's staff with baby oil, condoms, and drugs. And she says that these hotel rooms, this is disgusting, the hotel rooms were left covered in baby oil and covered in blood and covered in urine. Cassie told the jury that the freak-offs made her feel disgusting and humiliated and worthless. But she said she couldn't say no because she says Diddy threatened to release videos of the freak-offs with her in them.
Just before they broke for lunch, Cassie Ventura described how freak-offs actually became a job, lasting 36 to 48 hours, the longest one lasting up to 4 days. No wonder the participants needed IV fluids after a freak-off. I'm just curious, to Lauren Cullen joining us at the courthouse, how was the jury responding?
What I will say is Cassie made a point to say that when she wasn't making music, she was actually having to, quote, recover from these freak-offs. And again, she did say these freak-offs lasted between 1 and 4 days, and it would take her an equal amount of time to get her body recovered, to rehydrate, to rest, to detox from these drugs. It was really, really sad to listen to.